Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, Valentine's Day, the year of our Lord 2018. We are going to be doing another busy webinar today. Today, we're going to be talking about how your website can be better and how your website needs to be thought of to make you more money. This is going to be a challenging conversation. This is going to be one that we are going to might hurt a little, but ultimately it's going to lead to bigger and better things for you. So feel free, and I'm going to hang out for just a minute or two because we've got a ton of people who are signed up today, and I want to make sure that we leave enough room and I don't start get too far in. So bear with us for just about a minute or so. It is a gorgeous day here in Champlin. It is in Minnesota, if you're around the world in different parts of the world, it is probably the first day in a month that is above freezing. It's close to 40 degrees today. My 3-year-old son yesterday asked if mommy's car was officially white now because of all the salt that is on it. So it was tough. It's been tough sledding here. So we're enjoying a beautiful, sunny and warm day. So hopefully you are as well. So, and thanks for joining us today. So once again, we're going to get started in just about a minute or two. Typically what happens with these things is I wait for a couple of minutes to get started, and then right when I get started, like 5 more people join. So I always wonder why I do this, but hopefully it'll be of value to everybody. So today, again, we're going to be talking about looking at your website in a new and different evaluative way. One of the things that we run into a lot in our sales process here at BusyWeb is people saying, well, gosh, my website really is good enough for the time being. Well, that's just not true. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So give it about another 30 seconds and then we'll kick the tires over here. So thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. A couple of administrative things before we get started. I did want to talk a little bit about who we are. We are a full-service digital agency that's based in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Our specialties are digital marketing, web design. We also do lead generation and content optimization for websites. And we are also HubSpot agency certified and Google agency certified. That's a lot of credentials that basically means the same thing, that anything under the sun as it relates to your online presence and your digital footprint, we can help make better. The goal of today is not to sell you on something. However, the goal today is to try and help you get a little better. So I did want to put that out there. One second administrative note before we get too deep into this is I will share my contact information at the end of this broadcast. And so if you want to talk to us, if you're interested in learning more, or if you want a copy of my deck, that's fine. I'd be more than happy to share with you. So, and I'll give you my contact information at the end of the show. Third, if you missed something, if you feel like I went too fast and or I mush-mouthed something or something like that, I will broadcast this and post it to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to view it right after we're done here today. So today we're going to be talking about your website as a salesperson, and this is a classic monologue, and I watched it about an hour ago from a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a David Mamet play about salespeople. And so there's that famous thing on the blackboard there that Alec Baldwin is about to point at that says, always be closing. A, always, B, C, closing. And the question I want you to ask yourself today is, are you always closing? Is your website always closing for you? Typically, here's what happens. Here's what you think happens is that somebody is going to go to work, they're going to sit down, they're going to have a nice cup of coffee, and they're in some white, beautiful building with a lot of interior light, and they're going to be evaluating you and reading your website and trying to evaluate really what you're trying to tell them and trying to navigate their site and your site and figure out whether or not you're a good fit for them. That's what you think probably happens. What actually happens is at the end of the day at 10 o'clock at night, after you've put the kids to bed twice, after you've filled the dishwasher, after you've done a load of laundry, after you've cleaned something, more than likely you're going to collapse on the couch with your iPad. Then and only then are you going to start thinking about looking at websites and really thinking about whether or not you're going to be making a buying decision. At that point, you're tired, you're sleepy, and you're not going to have as much attention as you thought you would earlier in the day. So as a result, your website needs to be much, much, much clearer, because more than often than not, people are looking at your website and trying to evaluate whether or not they should not buy from you. They are actively looking for reasons to not buy from you. So let's go. So this is the question I want you to answer to yourself. How confident are you leaving a prospect alone with your website? Are they going to accurately do what you want them to do? Are they accurately going to be able to figure out the story that you are trying to tell? If the answer is no, then we need to keep going. If you feel really confident that if you leave a prospect alone with your website and they're going to figure out what to do and figure out what you can offer and then pick up the phone and call, then this is not for you. But if you're not, then we should keep talking. So let's look at the blackboard behind Alec, because he's got another interesting part here. And thanks, Alec, for taking a look at this. There's a 4-point process that in sales that he talks about in the movie, which I want to bring up here. AIDA. A, attention. Do I have your attention? I, interest. Are you interested? D, can you make a decision? And then A, make that decision and act on it. These are 4 basic principles in most sales processes, and one that should accurately follow your customers or your prospects' experience when looking at your website. And at the end of the day, you do want to close them. You do want to get them to do something to do. Give them something to do. Are you going to be selling $50,000 stuff, widgets over your site automatically? Absolutely not. Our closing is going to be smaller, but it's going to lead to bigger and better things. So let's talk about some of the ways that your website might be failing. First and foremost, this is one that I see more than anything, is that you've completely forgot about your customers. You've written a website, or you have a website that is based exclusively on what you think is cool and what you think is important and information that you think that you should have, that a customer might have. The trouble is that's not accurately true, because you're always going to buy from you. Instead, really what you need to be focusing on is a Punnett square, an overlap, where you're asking, what do my customers want? What information are they going to want to have in order to make an evaluative decision about whether or not they should work with me or not? Now, to be fair, you see that there is quite a bit of overlap there. That's because you really are an expert in what you're doing, and you need to feel like you are. So a lot of the information about what you want is important, but what you need to write your website, and your website has to have in mind, is your ideal customer and the audience and what you are asking them to do. And if you're not asking them to do anything, then your website is failing you. If you're educating your customer, your website is failing you. If you're just trying to get your website to give customers a bunch of information, my response to that is, okay, great, thank you. Now I'm going to find somebody who is wanting to take my money. So how do we alleviate this? How do we change this? Well, the first thing you need to do is actually ask your customers, why did you buy from me as opposed to anybody else? Why did you choose to do business with me as opposed to anybody else? What attracted you about that? What was the evaluative decision that really made you say, yep, you're the folks I want to work with? And then you need to write to that. If you're not writing to that one crucial differentiating value that you provide that nobody else is, then you're just your website should just go home at the end of the day. It's just not helping. Next, this is one that you see a lot, and this is something very, very simple. By and large, about 35% of your web traffic is going to want to be coming to you to figure out how to get a hold of you in one way or another. They are going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to pick up the phone. They're going to want to email. They're going to want to talk to your customer service. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, how easy are you to be found? If somebody is only asking for that one piece of information, how quickly are you giving it to them? And really, the question you're asking is the question that Lionel Richie is asking here is, am I the right person you're looking for? Am I the right fit for you? Or do you have your hand completely in the sand? One of the things that we see very, very often if a website isn't functioning is it over stylized? There is a certain amount of utility that comes into building a website, which is to say that your customers and your prospects have to be able to find you and be able to contact you very easily. That's why you see a lot of redundant information sometimes, like you'll see a company's phone number in the header of a website and also in the footer. So when you leave here today and you leave this presentation, I want you to take a look at your website and figure out, if I was looking at this from scratch, how much time would it take? And actually pull out a stopwatch, like a watch or a tab counter on your phone or something like that, where you can actually figure out and time yourself. How quickly does it take for me to find a piece of contacting information? If it's more than 5 seconds, it's absolutely 100% time for a change. Next, this is one of my personal favorites when I talk to business people who think that you say, well, I can't find you on a search engine. They say, oh, well, that's okay. We don't really need any business to come from your website. Well, then why do you have a website if you don't need your website to provide you with business? Secondly, if nobody can find it, if they're looking for you, that's a missed opportunity, because I guarantee you your competition isn't taking that tack. Your competition is absolutely trying to find business and increase their search ranking, because they want to be found, they want people to look at them, and they want people to raise their hand and say, yep, I'm interested in doing business with you. The next question that I usually get here is, well, how important really is that? Well, based on statistics, only 2% of searchers go to a second page of a Google search. So if you're not on the first page of Google for a significant portion of your keywords, first or second at least, then it's absolutely time for a change. Now, to be fair, for those of you who have worked with search engine optimization companies, search engine optimization does take a fair amount of time. It does take a good 3 to 6 months of dedicated effort before you even see a modicum of a result. But instead of, if you're not doing that, you're basically in a rowboat that is slowing down ever so slowly, and there are boats that are passing you. So it's absolutely critical in this day and age that you are registered with search engines, and that you are actively trying to pursue a strategy to help increase your search ranking. So simply put, your customers can actually find you. Now, isn't this guy cute? I found him last night and just thought he was adorable. So another thing that I find in dealing with people is that when they think that their site is just good enough, or it's good enough for now, well, it's because nobody's actually looking at it. It's not an effective tool. It's not an effective leave behind for your sales staff. It's not an effective representation of your business. So if you feel that way, that you really don't get a lot of web traffic, again, begs the question, why do you have a website if it's not doing anything for you? If you feel like, well, everybody has a website, then like everybody has a sales strategy, which is true, you absolutely need to be pushing the pace, and you absolutely need to be trying to figure out a way to improve. Just like you would try and improve somebody on your staff, a salesperson or something like that, you absolutely want to put forth the best effort and figure out how many people are coming to your site. The easiest way to do this is Google offers a tool called Google Analytics, which is free, which will tell you any number of stories that you want to know to understand who's coming to my website. How many times are they visiting? How long do they stay? Do they take the journey in which I want them to take? You know, the first thing I asked you is to evaluate that journey and ask yourself if it's easy to understand. Now we're going to get into where the rubber meets the road, where you need to actually put real concrete data behind that. And this is going to be a little scary, because oftentimes you will find that they are not taking the journey that you want them to take. If that's true, then it's absolutely time to take a look at your website and or find a brand new one. This is one that, again, gets into the educational portion of what I talked about a little earlier, which is you're not actually asking them to do anything. This is often referred to as a call to action. So if I go to your website, am I going to know what you want me to do then after I look at it? Am I going to look at something? Am I going to read something? Or am I actually going to take some sort of forward momentum action where I am saying, yes, Mr. Consumer, I want you to click here and fill out this form, and then we're going to start having a conversation. If you're not asking your customers or your prospects to do anything, again, you have a website that's basically the same thing as a library book. It's there to educate your people, and that's it. You know, if you go to the library, they're not going to sell you anything. But if what you should have is the idea moving forward of, I want my website to do something for me, because when I'm at home in bed, people are going to be looking at me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're going to be making buying decisions. So this is this is absolutely critical. And again, it's called a call to action. And here are a bunch of words that are used that are really an effective call to action. Things like click here, order this, contact us, buy here, sign up here, limited time, anything like that. You need to have those words clearly indicated on your site where you are clearly saying to your customer, I want you to do this in order to take the next step. Now, again, in the grand scheme of things, even if you are selling a $50,000 widget, you're not going to sell one immediately over the website. Just understand that going forward. But what you are doing is you're imprinting the idea of saying yes in your customers. I want you to do a very small thing. Just click here. Would you do that, sir? And if they click yes, then you've got them on the road of saying a lot of little yeses, which is farther down the journey leading to the big yes, which is please give me money in exchange for goods or services. So as you're looking at your website, I really encourage you to ask yourself, what am I asking somebody to do when I look here? And if you don't feel like you can give yourself a fair run at this or really a good evaluation of this, ask somebody else who you trust. Look at my website and tell me, what am I asking somebody to do here? Chances are good you're probably not going to like the answer you get. Next, what are you capturing on your website? How are you continuing the conversation? You've got somebody to look at you, but that's the same thing as driving by a billboard. The next thing you want to do is ask them, again, a small yes, where you can say, I've got a bright idea that I want you to have, and I want you to capture it. And I want to have this conversation with you. Could be something as simple as watching a video or filling out a form or giving me your email address in exchange for a download. If you're not doing anything like that on your website, then you are failing, because your website absolutely needs to be a conversation starter. It is automated. It is a finite thing insofar as that it can't think on its feet, but it does have to give you the opportunity to follow up and get better leads. Things like, hey, I'm going to offer this to you if you just click here and fill out this form. If you're not asking those type of call to action questions where you can capture some of those data, that data of those people that are coming to your site, then your website isn't doing you any good, and it's time for a new one. So again, the idea here is figure out a reciprocity with those people that are coming to your website so that they can look at you and go, yeah, I want to have a further conversation. This is one, oh my gosh, this one just annoys the ever-loving heck out of me. Because I'm one of those people that I get in my car and start driving because I'm confident. My wife says, oh my gosh, Trigby, do you need to look up where you're going? I say, nope, I got my phone with me. And then I get halfway to where I think I'm going and I'm wrong. And so what I do then is I look up the website and I expect that a website is going to be touchscreen responsive. So I copied this from our website at BusyWeb. So if you click on our phone number on a mobile device, what will happen is your phone will dial our number. So it automatically connects the dots for you. If you click on our address, what it should do is show you how to get to our office. and then automatically open up your maps program for you. So again, a lot of times people are just trying to find you or call you. And if you're not providing a simple bridge between what they want and what they can do, then it's time to reevaluate your website as a useful tool for you. So absolutely, I 100% recommend that your website has to be touchscreen responsive. If you are touching certain pieces of content, it needs to take you to other functionalities in your phone, like your maps or your phone program. If not, then you're just leaving money on the table at that point. Now, as we get to a contact information page where you've asked somebody the right thing, please fill out this form. If you're anything like me as a salesperson, you have 8 million questions that you are ready to ask, and this is not the time to do it. So a lot of times what you see is something very simple. So again, this is what a good representation of what your customer is. He's angry. He's not really ready to buy. He's thinking of a way not to work with you. And then you ask him, what is your name? What is your company name? What is your company industry? What is your address? What is your job title? What is your phone number? All of these things happen all the time on websites. What's your email address? What's your social security number? Hey, what are your pain points? How did you find us? Oh, by the way, do you know John? And then at that point, your customer's either going to leave or they're going to look like this, because all they wanted was a simple thing from you, and you're asking them 8 million questions. And then you keep going. What interested you on our site? Are you the decision maker? How much budget do you have? What do I need to do to get you into this product today? Can you pay by credit card? Oh, by the way, can you pay today? And at that point, you are lucky if you have a customer that is angry. Otherwise, they're just completely gone. Next, do you have a frequently asked questions based on your website? This has been a fairly commonplace practice that a lot of people have been starting to get away from, and they absolutely shouldn't. In every sales process, there is a certain amount of questions that you get asked every single time, and those answers need to be posted on your website. So those people who are looking at you and trying to figure out, should I buy from you? You can answer them in the affirmative. And you can write that down in a frequently asked questions section. It gives you a great opportunity to stuff some content in there. It gives you a great opportunity to stuff some objection handling in there. And it gives you a great opportunity to tee up a really good opportunity once people have had all of those no's in their head answered. So absolutely encourage you to reevaluate your website. Are the questions that you get asked all the time answered on your website? And if not, it absolutely needs to be changed. So here's the terrible question that gets asked in sales all the time. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change in order to make this work? How are you going to make more sales? Somebody asked me the question the other day, which the even thought of it terrified me, which is, if you leave everything as is, how confident are you that you're going to make your sales goals this year? And I don't know anybody who can truthfully answer yes to that. So here's what I want you to think about this is how we tend to think of the sales process online. 4 parts: identify, connect, explore, and then advise. So you're identifying what your strengths are, and you're transforming those people into leads. Once you've connected with them and realized that they're qualified leads, those qualified leads are going to start to become opportunities as they filter down into realizing that, yes, they really want to talk to you, and then they're ready to become customers. So this is a fairly complicated process that I boiled down here, but it's absolutely critical in order to be successful for you. If you're not doing this, if you feel like your website is good enough, again, I ask you the question, without making a change, how confident are you that your goals are going to be met in 2018 or beyond? If you really can say yes to that, this is not for you. If you can't really honestly take a good look in the mirror and say yes to that, then it's time to reevaluate your website as a sales tool. Next, I want you to think about connecting with the right prospects. This is not an exercise in just creating noise for noise's sake. You want to actually have your website focus on the people that truly matter for you. So as you put out engagement things on social media, you want them to attract the right people for you. Those customers that have the money to spend and have the need to spend, those are the people that you need to be focused on. Then you also want to make sure that you are identifying what a specific action you want them to do, and use a CRM in order to manage and manipulate the data. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. It's a piece of software. There's 8 million of them out there that are great. And if you're interested, there's a couple that I can recommend if you want to reach out to me after the fact. But you want to drive your visitors towards a specific thing, asking for a specific thing. If you're not doing that, again, your sales website is failing you. Like any good salesperson, you need to measure, you need to track results, and show the return on the investment. Yes, it is scary to think of what you would need to invest in a brand new website, but it should turn an investment return for you, and it should do so in a finite period of time. And the way in which that happens is by tracking results and measuring its value and measuring its appropriateness for you. So those are the things that go into a really great website, really in a great sales strategy as well. I'm a salesperson, and my job is measured by return on investment. How much money does a company have to invest in me in order to get money out of the person sitting in my seat? Your website is absolutely the same thing. How much money are you putting into your website, and what are you getting in return? And if your answer to both is not much, then it's time for a change, because I guarantee you your customers are going to be looking differently. So that's a lot of doom and gloom, and I wanted to do a lot of sort of aggressive talk to kind of shake some people loose to think about your website in a new way. But there are some ways in which you can figure out where to start. The easiest thing that I'd recommend is go to our website, which is busyweb.com/buzz. I will ask you to fill out a form, and I will give you something immediately. I will give you a good 10 to 12 page report telling you everything that's going well on your website right now, everything that's not going so well, and everything that you really need to change. The whole thing takes about a minute to do, and if you're not sure about the data, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and talk to you about what it means. Oftentimes, I find that some people have a better website than they think. Oftentimes, I find that people have a website that's much, much worse than they think. So it's a good starting place to look at. And it will be honest with you, it's not something that's a scare tactic by any means. It'll really give you a great start. Also, if you're interested, we do a lot of these activities on a regular basis. Easiest way to join us on a regular basis is text busy, B-I-Z-Z-Y, to 22828. And you'll be taken through some steps to join our email list, and you'll get notified of these kind of events in the future. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. This is not a picture of me, but it is my contact information. This is our president, Dave. The best way to get a hold of me is my email is there, and then my phone number is there as well, 651-252-4052. If you have any questions, it's great. I'd be more than happy to talk with you. But remember what Alex said, ABC, always be closing. And if your website isn't doing that as well, then boy, it's time to get a new one. Have a great day, everybody.